I was playfully mocking him with our kids during dinner until he suddenly stood up and did this.
I thought it was all in good fun, just a little joke at the dinner table with the kids. But I never expected him to stand up, look me dead in the eyes, and say what he did next. Hi Reddit, my name is Sarah, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married to my husband Mike for about 8 years now, and together we have 2 amazing kids. You know how it is with family life, there's always a little playful teasing here and there, and Mike is usually the one we poke fun at the most. He's the serious type, the logical one, always steady and dependable. But let's just say he's not known for having the best sense of humor. Anyway, last week we were all sitting down for dinner, just having one of those easygoing family nights. The kids were joking around, making little comments here and there, and I couldn't help but join in. It's all harmless, right? Just a bit of fun at the end of a long day. But I think maybe we pushed a little too hard this time. The kids were laughing, I was laughing, and we were all just having a good time. Until suddenly Mike put down his fork, stood up, and looked at us with this expression. I would never forget this moment. And that's when everything completely changed. Okay, a few words about Mike and me. Mike is, I guess that would be quite fitting, steady as a rock. He's the quiet type. He wouldn't take sides, and he does not easily show his feelings. But he is a good father to our 2 children, and I understand that he loves us as much as he can in his reserved manner. He's very reliable, a practical person, and, in essence, the pillar of our family. And I've always appreciated that about him, even though there are times that I wish he could be less serious. He's just not the fun and flashy type. In plain English, he's not the suave macho type. Now, our family has this little habit where we poke fun at each other, especially when Mike's being his usual self. It's all harmless, and I honestly thought he enjoyed the attention in his own way. I'd never seen him get truly upset by it. Usually he just brushes it off with a small smile and shakes his head like he's humoring us. It's sort of become part of our family dynamic. But lately, I don't know, I feel like something's changed in me. Our marriage has always been good, solid, but recently it feels like we've fallen into this repetitive routine. It's comfortable, but I guess a bit stale. I found myself wondering if this is it, if this is how it's supposed to feel after so many years. And then, a few months ago, I reconnected with an old friend from high school on social media. We'd always gotten along well back then, and honestly, talking to him again brought out this attention I hadn't felt in a while. I haven't told Mike about this friend. It's nothing serious, really. Just a few messages back and forth, catching up. But it's something I keep to myself, like this tiny secret in the back of my mind. I guess it's just been a way to escape the day-to-day, even if it's only in my head. So it's just a regular Friday night dinner, and we're all gathered around the table. You know how it is the end of a long week. Everyone's ready to relax and the mood is light. The kids are talking about their day, laughing over their little stories, and somehow the conversation starts to shift toward Mike. One of the kids makes a harmless little joke about how Dad always has an answer for everything, and we all chuckle. And then I don't know, I get this urge to keep the joke going. I begin to roughly joke with Mike about how he is such a logical person, a human encyclopedia. You remember the phrase, if there is a right way to do something, Dad has a spreadsheet for it. It's only silly things, all either jokes or at least all in a playful mood, or rather they were to me. To begin, I tell the kids that their dad takes the cake in being predictable and old school, and the kids, oh, they jump right on board. And they just chime in with their little jokes like, hey Dad, do you ever actually laugh? Or, didn't they have mobile phones when you were our age? They're laughing. It's funny. I'm laughing. And at that moment, you don't even think that there are bad things said about your sexuality. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like any other family joke. But looking back, I realized that maybe we were pushing him a bit hard. Mike's not one to get overly emotional or show his frustration, so it's easy to forget he has limits too. As the kids keep joking, I keep egging them on, throwing in little jabs here and there about how he always likes things just so, or how he's stuck in his routines. And maybe, just maybe, I'm getting a little too carried away. At first, Mike just smiles along, giving these short little chuckles, but it's clear he's only half laughing. His responses start getting shorter. And there's this moment where he looks down at his plate, like he's not really part of the conversation anymore. It's subtle, but I catch it. Still, I brush it off, thinking, oh, he'll lighten up. He's usually the one to just let this stuff roll off his back. However, looking at him further closer, I realize that he is progressively becoming more and more silent. His usual serenity is now slightly off, slightly heavy, as if there was something that hadn't been there before. The look on his face has changed. There are no smiles here, and very rare recognition of me at least. He is just present, eating in complete quietude with his gaze directed at his plate as if he is miles and miles away. At least once I got the impression that perhaps we've pushed things too far, but I let it pass. I just keep hoping, thinking that he'll emerge from it, that he will come around. Basically, they are just joking around. The kids, of course, don't notice any of this. They're still laughing, still throwing their little jokes, completely caught up in the moment, and honestly, so am I. I think a part of me just wanted to keep that easy, fun vibe going, even if it meant poking a little too hard at Mike's serious side. But looking back, I realize I wasn't paying attention to what was right in front of me. I didn't see how uncomfortable he was becoming, how the light had gone out of his eyes as we kept pressing on. And then, out of nowhere, Mike suddenly stands up. It catches us all completely off guard because Mike's not the type to make a scene or even show much emotion. He doesn't raise his voice or slam his hands down, nothing like that. He's calm, but there's this look in his eyes that tells me he's not okay with what just happened. It was just so shocking. With great calm, he draws a heavy breath, staring into my eyes and says, "You all must be having a good giggle at my expense. I bring balance, I bring sense, and sometimes I must admit that is not always enjoyable." But if that was making me the family jokes, then maybe it was about time for me to begin to think. His voice is strong, but there is something different in it. That could be this pain he is trying to hide, or this pain has come out and found its home. Then he pauses, glancing at the kids, who have gone completely silent. They're just sitting there, eyes wide, looking back and forth between us, probably trying to understand why Dad, of all people, is reacting like this. He gives them this small, sad smile and says, "I love you both very much, but I need to clear my head for a bit. I'll be back later." And just like that, he turns and heads out the door. No big dramatic exit, no slamming doors, just a quiet, controlled exit. I sit there, completely stunned, not even sure what to say. I didn't expect him to actually get up and leave the table. I mean, Mike's always been the one to brush things off, the one who never lets little things get under his skin. But I guess this wasn't just a little thing for him. And maybe we'd been pushing him a bit too much. The kids are just sitting there. They are very confused and are expecting me to make some sense of what went down. I attempt to shrug it off by fanning myself and dismissing the kids, saying, "Oh, it's okay. You don't have to call me mister." He is such a drama queen. Let Dad be a little dramatic. But even as I write it, one can see that there is this tight knot tying a person in the stomach. I know this is not just him being dramatic. He really is upset. And as he walks through the door, I can't help but I am a little bit sad too. The room feels weirdly empty without him, and I can't help but replay what he said in my head. The whole thing about being the family joke and rethinking things, it hits harder than I'd expected. I guess I just didn't think he'd take it all that seriously. In my mind, it was just some harmless fun, a bit of playful teasing. But now, sitting here in the silence, I'm starting to realize that maybe it wasn't as harmless as I thought. I look over at the kids, and they're still quiet, just sort of picking at their food. The fun, light atmosphere from just a few minutes ago has completely disappeared. I try to make some small talk to lighten the mood, but it's useless. There's this awkward tension in the air, and all I can think about is how I didn't see this coming. I sit there, feeling this strange mix of embarrassment and guilt. It's not just that I embarrassed myself, it's that I embarrassed him, in front of the kids no less. And now, I have no idea what's going through his mind, or what he's going to say when he gets back. That night, after I finally get the kids settled into bed, I find myself sitting alone in the quiet of the living room, replaying everything that happened over dinner. I keep going over it in my mind, asking myself why I even felt the need to tease him like that. What was I hoping to accomplish by making him the center of our jokes? And why did I ignore all the signs that he was getting uncomfortable? The longer I stay there, the longer I start thinking that it's maybe not just about dinner. The teasing, the mockery, it was more than just that when fun was being made of someone, of me. At the bottom of it, if I am perfectly aware that there's more to it than that, this is like there is this amassed annoyance within my character, and today turned into the night of jokes and jeers, but they weren't precisely thinking of him being serious or too boring. It's about something else, something I've been avoiding. I think back to when we first got together. Back then, I loved how grounded Mike was. He was the one who kept me steady, who made me feel safe. While I was always dreaming and jumping from one idea to the next, he was there with his calm, logical mind, grounding me and giving me a sense of stability I'd never had before. And I loved that about him, I really did. But somewhere along the way, I started seeing it differently. I started seeing him as too serious, too predictable, maybe even a little boring. I sit there staring at the empty dining room table and I can feel this ache in my chest. I know I've been distant. I've been pulling away even if I didn't fully realize it until now. And then there's the whole thing with reconnecting with my old high school friend on social media. I tell myself it's nothing, that it's just some innocent catching up. But when I think about it deeply, I know that talking to him has been this little escape for me. A break from the routines of family life and the same steady, predictable days. Nothing physical has happened between us. I haven't cheated, not in that way. But I can't deny that I've been letting myself get caught up in this fantasy of something different, something exciting. Just talking to him, reminiscing about high school and all the things I thought I'd do with my life. It makes me feel like that young, carefree person again. And I realize that as I've been indulging in this escape, I've been slowly distancing myself from Mike, almost as if I've been blaming him for the fact that my life didn't turn out exactly the way I'd imagined. I think about how I've been treating him lately, dismissing him as boring or predictable without ever really considering how much he actually does for us. He's the one who works late, the one who makes sure we're financially stable, who is always there when I need him. And I've been taking that for granted. I've let myself get carried away by this idea that life with him isn't exciting enough, that I somehow deserve more. That is how the guilt begins to creep in on me as I begin to assume it all. I believe I've been searching for ways to place the blame on him, to hold him accountable for this nagging, ongoing unease. I believe I've been searching for ways to place the blame on him, to hold him accountable for this nagging, ongoing unease. Sitting here, I can finally admit to myself that it was not about him at all. It's about me. I am probably the one who has been on the search for something that will cause the change within their life, something that will make them have goosebumps. And instead of discussing things that bothered me or how I feel deep inside, I fade away, completely ignoring my sadness behind these tiny jokes. I think about what he said tonight about being the family joke and rethinking things. The look on his face when he said that, it's a look I don't think I'll ever forget. And the worst part is that he's right. I have made him into some kind of joke, all because I didn't want to face my own issues. I wanted to believe that he was the problem, that he was the reason I was feeling unfulfilled. But the truth is, he's done nothing but try to be there for me, to be the steady, supportive husband and father he's always been. And here I am, sitting alone with this realization that I might have just pushed him too far. I might have hurt him in a way that isn't so easy to fix. After a couple of hours, Mike finally comes home. I hear the front door open softly and my heart leaps, but he doesn't come into the living room where I'm sitting. Instead, I hear his footsteps heading straight up the stairs, and soon after, the faint click of our bedroom door. He's gone to bed without saying a word. I was ready for this already. I sit there for a while just staring at the spot where he usually leaves his shoes by the door. There's this awful silence in the house, and I don't know what to do with it. Part of me wants to go upstairs to talk to him to somehow make things right, but another part of me is just frozen. I'm not even sure what I'd say to him if I did go up there. Would I try to explain myself to tell him that it was just harmless fun? Or would I finally admit the things I've been keeping to myself, the doubts, the restlessness, even the stupid messages with my old friend? But as much as I think about it, I can't bring myself to say those things. I keep thinking it might only make things worse, that maybe he'd feel hurt in a way I wouldn't be able to fix. So I just stay downstairs, going over and over the evening in my mind, wondering how we got here. The next morning I get up early, hoping to catch him before he leaves for work. I've barely slept, and I'm sure I look as bad as I feel. When I go downstairs, I see him in the kitchen, already dressed, drinking his coffee in that calm, quiet way of his. I stand there for a second, watching him, feeling this weird mix of guilt and relief that he's back. But I still don't know how to start, how to address everything from last night. Just as I'm about to say something, he looks up at me. There's no anger in his eyes, no hint of the tension from last night, just calm and maybe a bit of sadness. And then, almost as if he's reading my mind, he asks, "Is there something more to this? To the way you were acting last night?" I freeze, my mind racing. Part of me wants to brush it off, to say it was nothing, just a stupid joke that went too far. But there's something in his gaze that makes me hesitate. It's like he's giving me an opening, a chance to be honest. And in that moment, I realize that maybe it's time to stop hiding behind my little excuses. So I take a deep breath and sit down across from him, feeling like my heart is pounding loud enough for him to hear. I start talking, slowly, stumbling over my words at first, but eventually it all comes out. I tell him about how I've been feeling restless, how our life together, though stable, has started to feel a bit monotonous. I even admit that I've reconnected with an old friend from high school and how I'd been messaging him, mostly just catching up, but also enjoying that feeling of something new. I make it clear that nothing physical happened, that I haven't cheated, but I admit that emotionally I've been distant. I told him how I felt like I was drifting, looking for something exciting, even if it was just in the form of those old memories I shared with my friend. I tell him how I let those feelings turn into frustration with our life, with him, even though he didn't do anything wrong. After I was done telling him everything, he told me that I should leave the house without missing a beat. He must see the shock on my face because he softens his tone, like he's trying to reassure me. "Look," he says, "I'm not saying this to hurt you. I just think we need some space. You've been feeling distant and I've noticed it. Maybe this is what we both need right now." He suggests that I go stay with my parents or my sister for a while, just so we can both have some time to think. He says it so rationally, like he's already thought this through and is sure it's the best option. And all I can think is he serious? I feel like I'm scrambling for something to hold on to, like the ground beneath me is slipping. I try to protest, to tell him that we don't need to go to such extremes, but he just shakes his head gently, as if to say he's already made up his mind. "This isn't a punishment," he says. "I'm not angry. I just think we both need to figure out if this is what we really want." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I want to scream that yes, this is what I want, that I want him, our family, everything we've built together. But I can't find the words, and all I can feel is this overwhelming regret, like I'm realizing just now how much I've taken him for granted. I'd let my mind wander to all these what ifs, and now, staring at the possibility of losing him, I can't believe how blind I've been. I'm filled with this awful sense of regret, knowing that I've pushed him to this point, that I've tested his patience in a way I never thought I would. I was so caught up in my own feelings, my own doubts, that I didn't see what I was risking. And now he's asking for space, for a break, and I have no idea if he'll be waiting for me on the other side of it. I feel tears welling up, but I hold them back, not wanting him to think I'm trying to manipulate him with emotions. He deserves my honesty, and if he needs this space, then maybe I owe it to him to give it to him. But the thought terrifies me, and I can't shake the feeling that I might have already lost him. Before he leaves for work, he looks at me one last time and says, "This isn't goodbye. I just need to know if this is right for both of us." His words hang in the air, leaving me feeling like everything I've known might be slipping away. As he walks out the door, I sit there, replaying his words over and over, feeling the weight of what I've done. I thought I had all the time in the world to figure things out, to work through my doubts. But now it feels like that time is running out, and I don't know if I'll get the chance to make things right. And all I can think is, what if he doesn't come back? Update. It's been a few weeks since Mike and I decided to take a break. I've been staying with my sister, trying to process everything that's happened. And honestly, it's been one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. Every day, I wake up with this weight in my chest, knowing that I pushed him to this point. And now, I don't even know if he'll be there when this break is over. We're still in contact, but it's different. He's set clear boundaries, no long conversations, no late-night check-ins, just the basics like coordinating time with the kids. He's polite and calm, exactly like he always is, but I can feel the distance. There's this line between us now, one I never imagined would be there, and every time I reach out, I have to remind myself to respect his space. In the silence, with all this time to think, I've started to see things so much clearer. I used to complain about Mike's serious nature, his stability, his routines, but now I realize that those are the very things that kept us grounded. He's always been the one I could count on, no matter what. And I took that for granted, thinking that his calmness somehow made him unfeeling, or that his logic made him boring. But now, looking back, I see it so differently. He's been my rock, and I was too busy looking for something exciting to see the value in that. I keep asking myself, how did I let it get this far? How did I convince myself that reconnecting with an old friend was harmless, or that my frustrations were somehow his fault? I was looking for distractions, for something to break up the routine, but in the process, I let myself drift away from the one person who's always been there for me. And now here I am alone, wondering if I've thrown away the best thing in my life. Sitting here, I'm realizing just how much I miss him. Not just his presence, but everything about him. The way he listens, the way he thinks things through, the way he's always there for our family without a second thought. It's like I'm finally seeing him clearly for the first time, and I hate that it took something like this for me to understand what I had. I don't know if he'll want to work things out, and that thought terrifies me. Part of me wants to beg him to forgive me, to promise I'll change, but I know that wouldn't be fair. He deserves more than just words. He deserves someone who truly appreciates him, someone who doesn't need a wake-up call to realize his worth. I'm not here asking for sympathy or even for advice. I think I just needed to share my story as a warning, maybe. To anyone listening, don't take your partner for granted. Don't let small frustrations build up, because if you don't address them, they can become something so much bigger. I let my doubts and restlessness cloud my judgment, and now, well, I might have lost the best thing in my life because of it. I'm not sure what the future holds. Mike hasn't made any promises, and I know he's still thinking things over. Part of me hopes that he'll want to try again, that we can rebuild what I took for granted, but I also understand if he decides that he deserves something different, someone who will appreciate him the way he deserves. And if that's what he chooses, I'll respect it. Looking back, I realize I've learned a lot through this whole experience, mainly about myself, and how easily I let outside influences and small frustrations cloud what really mattered. I let my own restlessness get in the way of appreciating the person who's been steady for me all along. I guess it's true what they say. Sometimes you don't know what you have until you're close to losing it. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it's not easy to hear someone admit their mistakes like this, but I hope that maybe, just maybe, someone out there will take something valuable from it. I may not get the happy ending I wanted, but if sharing this helps someone else see the good in what they already have, then at least something good came out of all this.
My so-called husband is planning on ruining my life for a very small mistake I made. I don't know why he thinks it's okay to do what he's planning to do. Yes, I cheated on him, but I guess it was going to happen one way or another. He's a mommy's boy, and this is just me putting it mildly. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to give in to the temptation that kept on coming up. He should feel glad that I waited so long to cheat on his sorry self. That man had it coming one day or another, and he shouldn't even try to make it seem like he's surprised. You don't marry a woman, then suddenly try to change her. It's not your place, and it can never be your place to do that. I'm my own person, and he was very well aware of this before we got married. We had no prior conversation that stated I wasn't good enough, or I had to be someone else to please him and his annoying family. So why did everything suddenly get thrown on me? My name is Anastasia, and I'm a 24-year-old dancer. Yes, I'm a dancer, and it's something I love doing. I make money from it, and I'm also a choreographer, so I get gigs to teach people how to dance. But as it seems right now, my husband is using that against me and wants to get me fired. I think it's better to say that he's been using this fact against me for a very long time. According to him, I'm just too exposed to a lot of men. The name of my husband is Collins, and he's a 28-year-old banker. You guys see the difference, right? He's a banker, and I'm a dancer. Of course, we have different professions, and it can be very difficult to be a couple, but somehow we made it work, and we got married. What's making me more upset is the fact that we met while I was working at a party he was invited to. He literally spotted me while I was working, and now he's trying to say my job is bad. We exchanged numbers the first day we met, but none of us contacted each other for almost 5 months after exchanging numbers. I didn't know his age range back then because we hardly said much during the party. I actually thought he was my age mate because he looked like me in some kind of way. Fast forward to the day we finally contacted each other. Well, he contacted me first and asked me out on a date. I was less busy and decided to go. I didn't expect us to connect the way we did, and boom, after 2 years, we got married. I was 23 when we got married, and we've been married for just a year. I was just 23 years old when I got married. Of course, I'm still in my youth, and I'm not the most mature person. In fact, I never claimed to be mature. Was I ready for marriage before I got married? Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. I liked Collins a lot, and that's the only word I'm going to use. I don't know if love is the right word to use in this situation. I've never been in love, and I've never fallen for someone in my entire life. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the truth. I've been in relationships, and I've dated a few people. I liked them a lot, and we spent a lot of time together. But it's never been to an extent where I feel like I'm madly in love with this person and cannot wait to spend my entire life with them. Maybe that's because I'm not an overly emotional person, or because I'm always focused on working and earning money. But with Collins, I decided to get married to him because I felt like he was the most stable man if ever dated. Before I just dated other dancers or artists because those were the kind of people I was mostly around. It was never because I preferred a certain profession. So when I met Collins, I just believed that he was the right man for me because he seemed like the serious type. I also liked the fact that he was a banker. I mean, dating a banker is far better than dating a dancer or an artist. Most artists are not ready to settle down. I felt like I was ready to get married, but I wasn't sure of it. But when I realized Collins was also ready to get married, I felt like it was for the best. So I said yes when he proposed, and then we tied the knot. I've always wanted to be that girl with a stable life. I've never really liked traveling many times as a result of work, but it's what I love doing and I can't stop. Even though I need to keep in shape everything because of my job, I told Collins I was ready to start a family with him 2 years into our marriage. That was the plan, and he didn't have any problem with it. Did I meet his annoying family before we got married? Of course, I met his whole family a total of 4 times before we tied the knot. They were well behaved throughout, and they never gave me any reason to feel like I was marrying into the wrong family. But 2 weeks after the wedding, it was war. Yes, war. And this isn't me exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all, and I don't think anyone else can understand my plight. Collins comes from a very big family. When I say big family, I mean that he has several siblings and cousins. His house is almost like an extended family because almost all his relatives, both married and single, live there. If you're wondering why that's the case, it's because his father was once a very rich man and he built a very exaggerated house. The house is actually quite big, and it has other houses in the property. According to what I was told, he got addicted to gambling and lost all the money within 2 years. Well, I don't know how true the story is, but this is what Collins told me. His father is late now. I heard he died in a car accident one night after drunk driving. So, after his death, most family members decided it was a good idea to move into the house because they felt it was very big and it could save all of them the cost of rent. Now, guys, I know you all are wondering how this has anything to do with the story, but trust me, it does. After the marriage, Collins asked me to follow him to his family house for their annual meeting, and I decided to follow him because, of course, I'm his wife and I should support him in situations like that. But I regretted the decision immediately when I got the family house, because I realized that they were just a big hurdle filled with bullies and people that talked down on other people just to make themselves feel better. I didn't get why everyone felt like it was right to comment on my body and tell me that I had to change. The fact that I was a dancer suddenly became a problem, and his mother made a very big fuss about it when I visited them during the annual meeting with Collins. She kept rubbing it in my face and telling me that dancing was not a real profession, and that I was just wasting my time and ruining my life because it was not a real profession, and it exposed me to a lot of unpalatable things. I had to ask her why my profession was suddenly a problem after the marriage, and why she didn't tell me everything before the marriage. That's when I discovered that Collins did not tell them I was a dancer before the marriage. He actually told them that I was a nurse and that I was a graduate of one big school like that. I was so surprised and angry that I didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't believe that Collins would lie about my profession and paint me out to be someone I was not. It was even more ridiculous that he had to hide my true profession from his family before they thought I was fit to be his wife. Another stupid thing is the fact that Collins was ashamed of telling his family that I was a dancer. I pulled him to the side and I asked him why he had to lie to his family and make it seem like I was a nurse when I was just a dancer. I'm a dancer and I'm proud of it. I've never been ashamed of what I do, and I don't think there's a reason for me to be ashamed of something that gives me money. I earned my satisfaction and I didn't beg from anyone or ask anyone to give me money. I would rather be a dancer than be roaming on the streets. The fact that his family thought they were better than me for some reason was just funny. They are the ones squatting with each other and living in a house that they didn't even build. They are basically jobless with nothing serious to do, and they are squatting together to save rent, yet they feel like they could dictate what profession I was into. If I had been getting judged by a multi-career family with several people in different fields that were actually successful in what they did and made a good living out of it, I would have actually felt bad. But I was getting judged by a family that couldn't even afford to stay on their own. What hurt me most was the fact that Collins just sat there and let them speak ill of me. So, when I call him foolish, don't judge me for it. Every decision he makes has to be dictated by his mother. If I knew I was getting married to a mummy's boy, I would have ran as far as my legs could carry me. He was so indecisive and quiet. I mean, how do you sit down in front of your family, then let them say whatever they want about your wife? How do you not say anything to defend her or make her feel better? It was like he made them believe I was a nurse so I wouldn't get quizzed by them and run away. Then, when he finally married me, he brought me to his house so they could charge me and make me get another job. I know some goody two-shoes women would try to tell me I should have just quit my job, but I'll say this ahead of time. I don't want any advice from those kinds of women because it just never makes sense. You met me as a dancer, then your entitled foolish self wants to change me after we tied the knot? If I quit working and stay at home to be your perfect wife just to shut you up, in less than 2 years, you'd still be the same man telling me I was feeding off your money and bringing nothing to the table. How ironic is that, and why would I want to be in that kind of situation? If I'd quit my job, Collins and his family would still try to talk down on me and make me feel like crap. So I made sure I didn't make such mistakes or get myself in such a compromising situation. It was just not something I was willing to do. When we got home that day after the annual family meeting, I was so angry that I didn't try to contain my anger or hide how I felt inside. I had to ask Collins why he thought it was right to sit silently at a gathering where my character was being butchered. No excuse. He had no excuse and couldn't come up with anything but the fact that he saw some truth in what they were saying. Yes, he says that to me. I don't even know why I married a banker. Maybe the artists I used to date were not ready to settle down, but at least they defended me in situations that were insulting. They never stood back and watched me get my character assassinated for something as trivial as being a dancer. That day, we had a very long argument, and I made it clear to Collins that I would not be changing my job or quitting it. I told him that I would remain a dancer, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. After that day, it was like I unleashed a beast in Collins. He became his family's puppet, and they tried to frustrate me together. He suddenly got upset with visiting his family and asking me to accompany him because he just wanted to see them talk ill of me and make me feel bad about myself. When I realized what he was trying to do, I decided to quit following him to his family house. I stopped accompanying him and told him he could go alone. He tried to make me feel like I was being unsupportive, but I rubbed it in his face and told him I didn't care. I finally got my peace of mind after I stopped going to his family house. I decided to spend more time at work instead of just sitting back at home and doing nothing in particular. I got a lot of gigs and shows that I had to work on. It was very fulfilling for me because after my wedding, my boss decided to give me fewer jobs because he felt like I would need to spend more time with my husband. But I guess he noticed that I wasn't really feeling the honeymoon bliss anymore, and he decided to get me back to work. More people had joined our dance team, and they were mostly guys. Yes, you read that right. I saw a pit of guys in our dance team, and it was quite surprising. Most of them looked more attractive than they should, and I actually anticipated going to work a lot. Yes, judge me for saying I found a few guys attractive. Well, that's the truth. I'm married and not blind, and so I don't think it's wrong for me to say what I see. They were very nice, and they always tried to come to me to ask me about the team since I worked longer than they did. I preferred speaking to them because I literally had a nagging husband and his jobless family waiting for me after work each day. I actually started regretting the fact that I got married as early as I did. I regretted it, and I still regret it. It's not something I'm scared of admitting because it's the absolute truth. When Collins noticed that I stopped going to see his family with him, he decided to bring his family to the house. I'm even getting angry just by recounting exactly what happened. I came back from work one day only to find that his sister, mother, and 2 of his cousins were at the house. Yes, you read that right, and it's actually true. They were at my house, and I was very surprised. I mean, it's not every day that you see something like that. I'd never brought anyone of my family members to the house before, and he's aware of it. There's never been a time when I tried to do that to him. I couldn't believe that he brought 4 people home without speaking to me first. Okay, I get that he's the owner of the house, but it only makes sense that he just tells me ahead of time even though he's not meant to ask for permission. After a stressful day at work, I came home to a very big bag of crap. Those people have to be the perfect definition of shameless people walking the surface of the earth. I couldn't even stay in the living room and watch TV without them bringing up discussions about my own body and how I was too thin. I hate his family. I hate them with an intense amount of passion. I don't care what anyone says because it is what it is. Collins, on the other hand, just sat there like he couldn't see what was going on. How do you expect me not to cheat on that kind of guy? A man that doesn't have a say on his own and only does things that his family asks him to do. That's the kind of man Collins is, and I was just not ready to take in any of their crap. I went to sleep in the room and waited for Collins so we could have a conversation, but he never came to the room. He spent the whole night entertaining his family, and I know this because I couldn't even get a wink of sleep as a result of the unnecessary noise they were all making. I tried to shake them off and get to sleep, but nothing that I tried worked. He preferred to spend the whole night whispering and laughing with his family rather than coming to the room to see his wife. I hadn't even started cheating on him back then, but can you guys see how foolish he was? Who wants to stay married to a mommy's boy? If you have seen the worst part of it, just listen to this. One day, while his mother, sister, and siblings were still at the house, something very annoying happened. I came back home after a stressful day at work only to be met by his annoying cousins, mother, and sister. His mother told me she wanted to have a serious conversation with me. Of course, I innocently thought it was okay to sit down with her and talk. Maybe it was as a result of the stress at work, but I completely forgot that they hated me. At the end of the day, she ended up asking me why I was not pregnant yet. A go asks a woman why she isn't pregnant yet. She told me her son was not getting any younger and should already be a father. Well, I had to ask her why her son didn't get married earlier in his life to have a child, and why she wanted to make me the baby-making machine. I mean, I'm literally just 24 years old. I'm not saying I'm too young to have children, but I'm trying to say it doesn't make sense that I have to rush into things just because my husband is 4 years older than me. Besides, Collins and I already agreed ahead of time that we were not going to have children until we completed our 2 years anniversary. I spoke to Collins about what his mother says, and he told me he also wanted children and couldn't wait so long to have children. I told him I didn't want children yet, so there was no way I was going to get pressured into having children. It was a continuous back and forth, and I got tired of the problems in the marriage. Bai made no move to fix any of those problems because I just didn't believe that they had anything to do with me. If anything, I'd always tried my best to manage his family, but they are so rude and annoying. Collins is a whole different story, and I just got fed up. So what did I do? I cheated. Why? Because I wanted to, and because I felt like I was married to a baby. I was tired of the marriage, but didn't have the guts to ask for a divorce, because I didn't want to end up homeless yet. I wanted to keep working and earn enough money to get my own apartment. I had a lot saved up before, but after I got married to Collins, I spent recklessly because he's a banker and earned enough money. I wasn't paying rent like I did before, and I wasn't paying the bills, so I bought a lot of expensive things. I only started saving when I realized my marriage to Collins was headed for doom. So one of the guts in the dance team is my affair partner, and we hit things off after months of being friends. We slept together 2 nights after my 1-year wedding anniversary, and we have been together ever since. But I never thought Collins would end up finding out. Apparently, one of his nosy sisters decided to follow me to my dance studio, and she saw me kissing my affair partner outside the dance studio. My boss is aware of the relationship, but it's not his business, so he kept quiet. But Collins's nosy sister took a picture and sent it to Collins. I got home 2 days ago, and Collins decided to give me the scare of my life. The house was scattered and almost everything looked broken. He was so angry that he kept cursing and screaming all sorts of degrading words. I thought that would be all, but he sent me out of the house yesterday and burnt all my sneakers. He threw my things outside and locked me out. I'm staying at my affair partner's place now, but Collins is still after my peace. I heard from someone that he's planning to get me fired and humiliate me. I don't get why he even cares so much. He made the bed and I just slept on it. It's his fault as much as it's mine. But wanting to get me fired? It's just too much. Update. I'm now jobless, and it's all thanks to Collins. He wasn't joking when he promised to ruin my life. It's been 6 months, and I've witnessed hell, literally. Even after he sent me divorce papers 2 weeks later and I signed it, he made sure he got me fired. I never thought my boss would fire me, and I was so confident, but I don't know what deal Collins striked with him that made him fire me. I trusted my boss so much because I've worked with him for so long, and I still can't believe he fired me. Collins also hired some thugs to threaten my affair partner and tell him lies about me. He sent me out of the house 2 months after my divorce with Collins was finalized. I was living off the little I'd saved up and put all my hopes in getting spousal support. But I just discovered that I would not be getting any spousal support anytime soon. Apparently, our marriage was just 1 year, and I worked and earned enough to be independent and was not very reliant on him. My lawyer tried his best, but we had to settle for very little. Now, Collins has 6 months before he gets to pay me the little spousal support. I'm broke till then. Collins really did switch things up to ruin my life. The mommy's boy decided to teach me a lesson, and here I am, single and broke with no job. It definitely hurts.